What's up, everybody? We're back here with another video. I'm excited for today's video. It's going to be a special video because we're going to talk about something that has been very popular in the world of real estate in the last 5 years. And I'm also going to show you all an update on my rental property. We just had the windows installed and I think they're going to look really good. So let me tell you real quick. The strategy that I'm going to dispel is not discredit, but dispel is the BRRR strategy, also known as the BRRRR strategy. And the BRRRR strategy stands for Buy, Rehab, Rent, Refinance. Now, this is a strategy that allows you to buy real estate without really using your own money, because you're going to buy the real estate, you're going to fix the real estate up, you're going to rent the property out, and you're going to refinance and pull all your money back out and put it back into your pocket. So theoretically, it does allow you to buy real estate without really spending your own money. But there's a lot of mistakes that people make, and there's a lot of things that the gurus don't teach you and don't tell you. And the reason I know is because I successfully got through the process, and I did it on one of my rental properties, but I made a lot of mistakes. So many mistakes that I almost lost everything I had. I almost lost the property. So with no further ado, I'm gonna show you all the property, and then also we're gonna talk about the BRRRR strategy. All right, see y'all in a second. Peace. All right, guys, here we are walking up to the property. So you can see that we had the windows installed yesterday. They're looking really good. And then we're gonna paint the property a different color. I'm gonna paint the property white, and it's gonna look real good with the black windows. Rolando, what's up, man? We're gonna paint the cornice up there, we're gonna paint that black. So it's gonna look really good. And we're gonna paint the door black too. So it's gonna be a white on black house. All right, let's go inside. We do need to get the property cleaned out. But I'm liking all the new windows. All the new windows have been installed. Yeah, we got a lot of trash we need to clean up. But I got my guys upstairs, they're working on the drywall. They're patching all the drywall, and they're gonna start painting this week. The kitchen has been ordered, and I'm just waiting for the kitchen to come in. And a contractor is also working on the bathrooms as well. Here we are in the bathroom. We had to, I don't know if you remember, but the floor in the shower was leveled at the same level as the floor in here. So we had to build this 3-inch ledge here so that there is a transition between the shower and the bathroom floor. Because you don't want water just spilling out onto the floor when you take a shower. So that's just a small detail that we had to change. But they're gonna start drywalling the shower. Another thing, if you notice this bulkhead, we had to put a bulkhead here. There was a bulkhead here before, but it was much bigger than this. It came down about 6 inches lower than this, which interfered with us putting a shower head here. So we had to cut the drywall out and then reduce the size of this bulkhead, which gives it a lot more space here in the shower. The vanity's gonna go there, the toilet's gonna go there, and then we're gonna paint and the bathroom will be done. So let's talk about the BRRR strategy, or the BRRRR strategy. Let's talk about that real quick. So there's a lot of gurus out there that'll tell you that you can buy these properties or buy property without really spending any money spending any of your own money. And theoretically, that is possible. But there's a lot of mistakes that people make, and that I even made when buying a property with the BRRRR strategy. One thing first is you must make sure that you do not overspend on the property. Now, keep in mind, this process requires you to buy a property that needs work, fix it up, rent it out, and then refinance and put the money back into your pocket. So you cannot overpay for the property. You actually have to spend 65 cents on the dollar after repair costs. Yeah, 65 cents on the dollar after repair costs. So if you think you're just gonna go out there and buy a foreclosure at a discount and be able to pull off a BRRRR strategy, it's not gonna happen. You have to make sure that you buy right. You have to buy at 65 cents on the dollar after repair costs. So, give you an example. If the property is worth 100,000 fixed up, renovated, then you have to spend 65 cents on the dollar, 65,000 minus the repair cost. So if the house needs 20,000, then you need to pay 65,000 minus 20,000, which is 45,000. That way, you don't overspend for the property, because the reason you have to stay at 65% of the value is because when you go out to do a refinance, you're not going to be able to just go refinance the property at any amount that you want. These gurus telling you that you'll be able to go out and do a refinance at 90 to 95% of the value is bullshit. Most banks are not going to allow you to refinance for more than 75%. 75% is usually the max a bank will allow you to refinance a property for, unless it's your primary home. Now, if it's your primary home, then you can do a refinance up to 95 to even 99% or even 100% sometimes. But if it's a rental property, or if it's a secondary property or an investment property, that goes out the window. You will not be able to get a refinance for more than 75% on the dollar. So that's why I tell people to buy the property right. Pay 65 cents on the dollar, and that leaves you a big enough room just in case you overspend on renovations, or maybe the value isn't as high as you expect it to be. You still have plenty of room in there baked into the deal so that you can refinance and pull your money out of the property and not have money stuck in the property. So when I bought my rental property, it's not this property. I didn't do it on this property. I did it on another property on the other side of town that I already have rented out. But when I bought the property right. I didn't make the mistake of overpaying for the property. I paid $160,000 for the property, and the property I knew was going to be worth $450,000 fully renovated. But I expected to only spend $100,000 on the renovations. And that leads me to my second point, which was my first mistake. I significantly underestimated the cost of renovations. I'll say it again. I significantly underestimated the cost of renovations. Now, I expected to only pay or spend $100,000 on renovations on this property. But the mistake I made was I didn't understand the cost of building an addition. I knew when I bought the property that I was going to have to build an addition on the property to get its value to $450,000. Because when I bought the property, all the other houses that were selling on the block for $400,000 or more were bigger homes. All of them were bigger homes. So I knew I had to build an addition just to get more square footage out of the property. Now, at the time, I had never built an addition. I have done regular renovations, but I had never built an addition on a property. So I had no clue on how much it was going to cost me to do the renovations. Now get this. I thought I was going to spend $100,000 on the renovations. I ended up spending $180,000 on renovations. Yeah, I'll say it again. I spent $180,000 on renovations. That right there was my first mistake, and that tripped me up, which led me to making more mistakes. Now, like I said earlier, I spent $160,000 for the property. So let's break it down real quick. I spent $160,000 on the property. I expected to only spend another $100,000 on renovations, so that would put me at $260,000. The property is worth $450,000. So, or $425,000 is what I expected it to be worth. So 65% of that is $280,000. So if you take what I purchased it for of 160 plus 100 renovation, that's 260. That leaves me a room of $20,000 on top of that to be able to do a refinance and put money in my pocket. So the numbers made sense, right? I expected to be all in for 260. I'll refinance for 280. I'll put $20,000 in my pocket, and I got a rental property cash flowing. But the mistake I made was I overspent on renovations. I underestimated the cost of renovations. So once I spent 180 grand on the renovations, my whole 65% rule was out the window. It was completely out the window. I was all in now for 340,000. Well, no, I'm sorry, 320,000. I know, yeah, 340,000 is what I was all in. And that money did not come from the bank. That extra 80 grand had to come from my pocket. The bank was not going to give me more money. And that's another thing. When you go out and do this BRRRR strategy and you use a hard money lender or any type of bank to fund the deal, if you underestimated your renovation budget, the bank doesn't care. They don't care about none of that. That overages that you got to spend now is coming out of your pocket, and it came out of my pocket. So I had to finish the project and move on to the next step, which was renting, finding a renter. And this is the third step, which is something that you definitely need to pay attention to when you're trying to execute this strategy. You need to make sure you reach out to a realtor. That's the best way to find out what you can rent the property out for. If you approach a realtor and tell them, hey, I'm going to be fixing this property up and I'm going to be renting it out, you're going to need that realtor anyway to rent the property out. So a realtor should be able to send you some comps, some rental comps, so you can have an idea of what that property is going to rent for. And you need to know that before you even buy the property. So you need to know what that property is going to rent for before you even buy it, because you got to bake that amount into your deal. Because remember, you're buying this property as a rental. You're going to fix it up and you're going to rent it out. There's no point of renting a property out if you don't know what it's going to rent for. There's no point of even buying the property if you don't know what it's going to rent for. So you need to know what the rent is on that property. Another thing is, when you run rental comps, you need to have your realtor send you rental comps all throughout the year for the last year. So they need to send you rental comps in the winter, the summer, and the spring, because in some markets, rents fluctuate throughout the year. Summertime and spring, rents are higher because there's more people trying to rent. In the wintertime, it's less people, so rents typically are lower. Now, if you end up fixing the property up and renting it out in the wintertime, then you need to know that you're probably going to have to rent the property out for a little bit less or wait a little bit longer to get the rent you want, one or the other. So that was something that I definitely wanted to point out. Now, that is not a mistake that I made because I am a realtor. So I was able to run my own comps and be able to understand what the property could rent out for. I knew the property was going to rent out for $3 grand a month, and that's what I ended up renting the property out for. But let me go ahead and do more of a walkthrough and show you all where we're at with the property. Come on, let's go. All right, up here we're going to put, if you notice they're patching the walls, getting ready for paint. We're going to put carpet. I decided to do carpet all the way up here because these floors are not going to match the floors downstairs. So we're going to do carpet. We're going to paint in here as well. We're going to put new floors down. And this room will essentially be done. Washer and dryer is going to go in here. This is all going to be painted. Got the recessed lights in. This is the tile we're going to tile the shower with. They already put the tub in. They already drywalled. That's the vanity light. The plumbing's been ran. All the windows have been replaced. The back door is on. Ceiling fan in here. And the backyard is looking good. If you remember, this window was shattered before, so I replaced the window and it looks good. One thing that I definitely want to make sure is that all the windows are functional, but also make sure all the windows are locked. You don't want nobody creeping up in the house in the middle of the night. I know y'all are probably thinking like, man, this property looks the same as it did in the last video. But a lot of the things we did are things that you don't see. All right, guys. Just wanted to show you where we're at. I promise in a week, this property will look a lot better than it does now. Trust me, in a week, it's gonna look completely different. And I know it seems like it's taking a long time to fix this property up, but I am taking my time with it. I'm not really in any rush on this property. I don't have a hard money loan or anything on this house. I have a traditional mortgage on this property, but there's no time constraint for me on this. When it's done, and I'll sell it when it's done. All right, guys. See y'all in a second. All right, y'all. Just got to the crib. We're gonna go ahead and just wrap up this video with the last and one of the most important R's, or the most important steps in the BRRR strategy, and that's the last step, which is refinance. Now, when you go to refinance the property, you're not going to do just any old refinance. You're going to do what's called a cash out refinance. Now, cash out refinance is just like a regular refinance, but you're going to be pulling money out of the property and putting it into your pocket. And that's the money that you put down on the property. So when you originally bought the property, whether you use a hard money loan, whether you use your own cash or whatever you use, more than likely you had to put some money down to purchase the property. Now, when you refinance, you're going to pay off the original loan, and hopefully you can pull money out and put back in your pocket equal to or greater than what you put down on the property originally. So that's what's called a cash out refinance. But I made a big mistake. I waited until I had a renter in the property to even start the refinance. Now, when I bought the property originally, I used a hard money loan, and my hard money lender only gives me 12 months to fix up a property and sell it, or fix it up and refinance. And it took me 12 months just to finish the property. And after that, I had to get a tenant and then do a refinance. Well, the mistake I made was not getting all my ducks in a row. I didn't reach out to a bank to initiate the refinance until I already had a tenant. And when you do that, the problem with that is you're not giving yourself enough time to execute the refinance before your original mortgage company requires you to pay it off. So when you get a hard money loan, you have a balloon payment, which is usually the 12th month, or however long your loan is going to be. Let's say it's 12 months, which mine are 12 months. At that 12th month, at the end of that 12th month, the loan balloons and the lender wants their money. So I either better sell that property, or I better have refinanced it so that they get their money back. If not, they could take the property from me. And that's almost what happened. I almost lost the property because the hard money lender wanted their money, and I'm sitting here trying to get a refinance done, and they're not trying to listen or hear anything I got to say. You know, now they weren't that bad, honestly, since they know me and they do business with me. They gave me more time, but after so many days or after so many months, they had to do what they had to do. So the mistake I made was not reaching out to a lender while I was renovating the property to lock in the refinance, or at least start the refinance process while I'm working on the property. My advice to you all, if you decide to do this strategy, is to make sure you have your exit strategy financing in place, or at least sat down with the bank and explain to them what you're trying to do, and get a commitment from them that they'll be able to help you refinance out of the property, or pretty much refinance you out of the property once you're done the work. And the hurdles I ran into were when you're doing a cash out refinance, the bank is going to scrutinize you a lot harder than if you were just doing a regular refinance. They want proof that there's tenants in the property and paying rent. They also are not going to just give you any amount of money. They're going to limit the amount of money that you can pull out of the property, sometimes 65%, sometimes 70%, but the highest I've seen was 75%. And that goes back to my point about making sure that you don't overpay for the property. Another thing is, and this is very important, banks want to see 6 months of mortgage payments in your bank account. In order for them to do the refinance. Because they want to feel confident that if the tenants stop paying or if the tenants move out, they want to feel confident that you could afford to pay the mortgage for at least 6 months without the tenants paying you rent. And the problem I had was I didn't have 6 months of mortgage payments saved up. Why? Because I had just spent 80 grand on the renovations that were over budget. I had to sit here and figure it out, basically. And I didn't even consider that at all. And these are all hurdles that I ran into while I'm out of time with my mortgage company. So it was a headache. It was a stress. I literally thought I was going to lose the property, and that was a big deal for me because I had been working on that property for a whole year. It was probably the largest renovation that I had done, and I had a lot of money in that house, and I was afraid I was going to lose it all. Now, thank God, I was able to pull it off. I found a lender that was able to close on a refinance and get me out. I paid a little bit higher. I paid a higher interest rate than I would like to, but I was able to stabilize the property, get tenants in there, and rent the property out for more than what my mortgage payment was. And that's also another point that I want to make. Make sure that when you refinance, that the rent is higher than your mortgage amount. Matter of fact, I don't even know if the bank is even going to give you more money higher than what you're getting in rent. But that is something that you also have to keep in mind. You need to make sure that your property is cash flowing, that your rent is higher than the mortgage payment. So long story short, the property is in good condition. It's in good health right now, but I went through hell trying to get this done. But at least I was able to stabilize the property and I didn't lose the property. So hopefully my lessons or my L's could be your lessons for you all. Obviously, if I do the strategy again, which I will, but I'm going to do it completely different, completely different. I'm going to make sure I don't overpay on the purchase price, and I'm going to make sure I definitely estimate accurate renovation costs. I'm also going to make sure that I have my exit strategy refinance in place already for when the property is done. I can go ahead and initiate that while I'm looking for a tenant. So I just wanted to share this little information with you all. Hopefully you all learned a lot. Hopefully you like the progress on the property I'm working on. It's going to be beautiful. Give me about 30 days. It'll be done. We're in the finish line now. Even though it doesn't look like it, really all we have is paint, floors. The kitchen's already been ordered and they're working on the bathrooms now. So I think it'll be done in about 4 weeks. So I'll see you all soon. Peace.